Good evening. Good evening. Welcome to the Keeping It Real Conversation Show with your host, Camila, aka Sunshine. It is Friday, March the 3rd, 2023. We are in the third month of this new year. Of course, we are happy to be in the land of the living. Again, we are live on my Facebook page, Sunshine Camila. We are live on the YouTube channel, which is the name of the show. Please like, share, and subscribe. We are live on Twitch. We are live on Twitter. Again, I believe in 6 degrees of separation. You're literally one person away, one advice away, one help away from where you need to be in your destiny. It has totally been proven over and over again since I started this show almost 3 years ago. Again, as I always state, the people that come through are dope. Oh my God, people that I feel like the whole entire world needs to know about. I feel like I find gems, the things that they have conquered, the things that they survived, the things that they are promoting, all positivity. And I am about that life. So again, I have another wonderful guest tonight who so happens to be my family. And I'm excited about this story. I have not met him in person, but unfortunately, during a time of bereavement through my uncle not too long ago, his mom was sitting behind me at the funeral, and she said, "Are you Evelyn's daughter? Because you look like her." And I'm like, "Yes, I'm actually her oldest daughter." And come to find out, his mom and my mom are cousins, and which makes us cousins. And so at this funeral, I get to meet more of my family that I've never seen before, never met before. But we're here tonight, and he has a story to tell. He's gifted, and we're going to talk about that. So tonight, I want you guys to welcome Kenneth Jackson, who is an artist and owner of Blank Comics from Detroit. Comics from Detroit. You may know him from his See You Tomorrow murals as a performance artist, or most notably for his comic series City Hair, The Planet, Divine Order, and The Dream. Recently, he was just featured in the Detroit Free Press, and we're going to get into that as well. So, you guys, I want you to welcome my cousin, Kenneth Jackson. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Thanks for having me on the show. I appreciate it. Glad we could connect.
Yes.
Everybody out there watching.
Well, one of the things that I'm trying to do for myself is, even though I'm 45, there are pieces of our life that we don't know about. And the generation before us and the generation before them, if they don't give us the information, it will be lost. And just like I've never met you and we are family, that needs to be changed. So if my uncle had not passed, again, I would have never met you. I would have never known anything about you. And once our conversations that I had with your mom, and she was so proud of you, I said, you know, I got to intervene. I have to connect with him and have a conversation with him. So this is why you're here. And we're going to get into the conversation of life in general, how it has its ups and downs, its roller coasters, and what you do brings not only healing to yourself, but you're being recognized for your art. So let's go back to the beginning. When did you know that you were, as they call, artistic when it comes to drawing and painting and all the things that you do?
Is this gonna be one of those like Barbara Walters interviews where I start crying and stuff?
If you do, I mean, I should have told you to get some tissue.
Yeah, I might. I don't know. But nah, I didn't really know. It was just something I always did. But I had this moment when we talk about family. I was in the car and my cousin, my older cousin, DeMarco, he was sitting in the front and I was trying to show him a Ninja Turtle that I drew. And, back then I was drawing just, scribbles. And so he took a pencil and some paper and he drew a Ninja Turtle and it looked so realistic. I saw it and I was just blown away. And I was like, I want to draw like that. And that was the first moment where I felt like becoming the best artist I can be was something that I wanted to do.
So were you at this point, as you're getting better in your art, were you self-taught or did you perfect that in school?
You talking about right now?
No, just even when you were younger, like over time.
Over time, I had like an art class, in just regular public school. And then, or, whether it was elementary or high school. But then when I went to undergrad at Michigan State, I majored in English. So I was always just drawing on the side. And then after I graduated, I was like, okay, I think I want to be an artist. So I did like one semester at CCS, the College for Creative Studies, and it was just too expensive. And between like working a full-time job and being a full-time student there as an artist, it didn't work out for me at that school. So after that, I just traveled around and I would run into a group of artists or one artist in particular, and I would learn from them and just learn everywhere I went.
So I don't want to say specialty. So what type of art do you say specialize in?
Yeah, I think there are certain, every artist, has their specialty. And what happened, I think with me, I have to say is sequential art, or what some people call cartooning or comic books, because that's really the first time that I got, like, that was my first big break, was in editorial at Marvel back in 2008. And I wasn't.
Wait. Time out. Marvel as in like Iron Man type movies?
Yeah. This was before Disney. Yeah. This is before Disney acquired the property. Like, Barack Obama was running for president that year. I say that because while I was in the office, we had a conversation, myself and Axel Alonso. He was an executive editor at the time, and he runs AWA Studios now. But him and I would go in his office all the time, and we would talk. And we were talking about Barack, winning the election, and we were like, we should do something to just acknowledge that this happened. And in the comics, we should do something. And so that's how Barack, an image of Barack wound up on the issue of Amazing Spider-Man. Is, they decided to acknowledge that the first Black president had just been elected on the front page of Amazing Spider-Man. So it was a variant cover. But and I thought it was, that kind of inspired me to go for it, because I saw Barack up there and I'm like, well, if he can feel confident enough to run for president, I could try out for an internship at Marvel. And I didn't think I would get it, and I didn't think he would get elected, but both of those things happened.
No, I'm not stuck.
Okay.
But wow. Marvel okay. I have to calm down because I am a big Marvel fan. I love those movies. I love DC too, but wow. So let's go back a step before you even try to go and be an intern here. What is the criteria of trying to do something like that? What do you have to have under your belt?
Really, for me, I think what it was, I was an English major, so I had strong critical thinking and, analytical skills. And based on my cover letter, they told me how much they liked my cover letter. They knew I was a strong writer, and they felt that I probably had some skills that would be transferable to the editorial department. And I worked on mostly the X-Men books. So they had me over there, and I think at the time, I think I was way less qualified than I am now, but I think at the time they felt that I had some skills that if they took me and helped develop those, it would be something great.
I am blown away right now. X-Men, definitely. I'm still waiting on the next movie to come out.
Yeah.
I told my people that I work with in my interview that as far as a team, we had to become X-Men. And with they're asking me like, who are you? And I automatically said I was Rogue. And I had to explain each X-Men to them, and by their conversation, I could tell who was who. And in all those moments of X-Men, it was always in a crazy time when they found out what their powers were. It was always in a sometimes when they were scared, sometimes when they were pushed against all odds, that they became who they were. And they had to go to this school under Professor X to sharpen their skills. And even in that, they had the moment that even in this, I still have people under me watching me while I'm learning me myself. And I always take this as my life being an X-Men. So again, you are literally blowing my mind.
Glad to be of service.
So I want to actually put out here also, he is a Detroiter. Have you taken anything from the concept of our city in what you do, what you writing?
Yeah. The series that I did, the Planet, the book I'm working on right now, actually, and even City Hair has a lot of Detroit in it, even though they both take place in fictional towns. Like the Planet, the main town that I made up is called Duffield, which is named after the elementary school I went to here in Detroit Public School. And when that book debuted, it was just like a one shot from sponsored by the Sierra Club. And in the book, the character Sol Moreno says, I'm from Mackenbewick. And then he, blasts the alien's head off and escapes. And so Detroit has a very strong presence in my work, even though, there's a lot of references or little Easter eggs in there. Sometimes, even in the Planet, there's going to be a scene where they look at Detroit, following, the alien invasion and everything. And there's some things that are going to be there that'll definitely tell you it was Detroit.
Wow. I am super proud. I'm super impressed. Again, I had no idea. And this is in our family. I had no idea. The gifts and talent that has bestowed upon our legacy, to take art to a different level, to take it around the world, in the things that come to your mind. For you to get your inspiration, what is it that inspires you to do what you do?
And I think it's just feeling like, my higher power put me here to do this, because through everything that I've been through, every obstacle, whether it was through depression or homelessness or whatever it was, it seemed like every time that I was spared, there was a reference or some type of thing linking it to my art. Like even with the police, they would every time there was a run in, they would see me drawing, or they would see something I was drawing. They would like, stick to this, or they'd be like, nice work, stuff like that. Even, every time that my life was spared or I was granted freedom, it was even in jail, when I was in jail, when I was locked up, that's what was helping me get the things that, I needed just to be comfortable.
Okay, so you dropped a couple of things that we not gonna skate over. So one, you said homelessness.
Mm-hmm.
Two, you said jail. How in the world did you find yourself in jail?
Well, that's a long, like, we can go all the way back to American history and you'll get the answer to that question. But me personally, directly, I was living in Pennsylvania and I was working at a factory, and a lot of people were it was a print factory though. And a lot of people were just telling me, because I was an artist out there too, and I was having shows, and they were like, you shouldn't stay here. You go out there and just live. Like, you don't have any kids, go out there. So I'm like, all right, I want to be a storyboard artist. I'll move to California and try to get work there doing that, and I was like, I couldn't get a transfer with the job I was with. So I'm like, well, I guess I'll just have to be homeless and find work and come up like that. And, on the way to that, I wound up in like a psychiatric facility. Like I walked like 40 miles from Lancaster to Harrisburg and woke up behind some bushes. And, long story short, I wind up in the psych facility for like 18 days. And I'm like, well, I got out and got a new job and then got on the train to California. So I was dealing with all of that. And it all just boiled up one day. And a lot of things were happening that just really pushed me over the edge. And I wound up with like an assault charge. And I was locked up in LA County jail for like 10 months before they transferred me to another facility for a year. But I was looking at 5 years in state prison, but they got it down to a year in a program because I just had a public defender that really believed in what she was doing.
So we talked, or we kind of brought some things out that I really want to. I always say this, I'm not Wendy Williams. I'm not any of that, but I want people to understand that even though we might bump our heads, we might make some mistakes because we're human, that's not the end of it. You turn this situation around. You even had the courage to walk away from what's normal, right? To somewhere in the hopes of finding your dream, right? Sometimes we have to understand that even in our travel to the unknown, you're going to be met with opposition. And And I can truly say that even in our family, we were met with a lot of oppositions in the things that we tried to do. We have doctors in our family. We have teachers, preachers. We have it all. And even in every person that have crossed that stage, gotten to where they needed to, they all were met with opposition of someone saying that they couldn't. So what we do is in our blood to prove you wrong. No, we're not crazy. We might not go the traditional ways like everybody else, but I believe and I know for a fact we're going to get to where we want to go. So am I surprised? No. I'm just glad that didn't stop you. That made you stronger, right?
Yeah, I think so.
So you had a moment, a year and 10 months, is that right?
Yep.
Where you were behind bars. So your life in there, of course, we say, you know, you have to make the best of it. What was your mindset in, if I ever get out of here, what's my next step?
Well, I wanted to keep my mind sharp because the part of the problem with me was that I was refusing the medication that people were trying to give me before. So then here in jail, you know, you were being forced to take this medication, or you know, you would be penalized somehow. So I was like, okay, I'll take it, but I'm not gonna let it debilitate me, or whatever the word is. I'm gonna read as much as I can. I'm gonna draw as much as I can, so that I at least keep my mind like intact and in a state where once I get out of this, you know, I'll be able to do something with it and continue doing what I was doing. Because when I was homeless, I had started painting on pizza boxes, selling them on street corners. I was selling my own comic books on the street corner to make money, you know, because I was too proud to like panhandle, you know, I wanted to sell something. And so I wanted to get back to doing that. And that was really all I was trying to do. You know, I was like, I need to get back out there and sell some more books and keep making books. And so that was in jail, you know, I was exercising my mind.
So in that moments, in your jail, were you coming up with new characters? Were you coming up with new storylines of once I get out of here, I'm a perfect this character. I'm a perfect this storyline of how life happens.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I had tons of scripts that I wrote on just scrap pieces of paper. Some of them, I think when I got out, I typed them up. I have what turned out to be like 4 novels that I wrote while I was in there. I'm looking for a publisher for those right now. The Brown Paper Bag Diet is what it's called. Then I started designing like the company I have now. You know, I designed all of that while I was in jail. Because I was reading this book about like manifesting and, you know, how you kind of have to cultivate your mind so that you manifest your blessings in like your physical reality. And that I found it while I was in jail. I don't even remember what the title was or the author, but so I started really, really working to try to like push myself in the direction that I wanted to go in.
Mm-hmm. So you're reading a book to advance yourself in a positive way. And now you're out and you're still in California, or did you go back to Philly, or did you come back to Michigan?
At first, when they let me out, I was in California. So I stayed there for about another 10 months in what they call a boarding care, which is basically like, you know, it's just a facility.
House or something like that.
Yeah, yeah. And so I stayed there for a while. I went back to the Animation Guild to finish taking, art classes. That's one of the places. Carl Ganas actually was one of my teachers, and John Messer, but Ganas is actually from Michigan. And he is like he teaches the animators who work on Disney and Pixar, and he's worked on other works too, but he went to CAST for a while and everything. So I was taking classes from him while I waited for my case to be transferred back to Detroit, and then I came back to Michigan.
Okay. So, wow. And the good thing is, again, we go through oppositions, and sometimes life give us these different lessons or a different way or lens, as I would say, to change it or pivot our life, right? Because when we look at, as I say, the 6 degrees of separation, right? If these different things did not happen, it might have taken you longer to get here, or you might not have gotten the ideas that you came up with your series. I want you to go into your business, right? And how you came up with that.
All right, so Blank Comics was developed. It used to be called Motown Comics because, I'm from Detroit. I had to represent. But what happened was when I started my internship with Marvel, in New York, on the days that, times I wasn't in the office, I was on the block. I was living in Washington Heights. And so I was on the block, and I ran into this dude named Cash who was with this crew called the Spanish Bomb Squad, this bombing crew, graffiti crew, or whatever. So I started hanging with him and DJ MF, and going to the library because I didn't have a TV. So I'll go to the library and read like any comics I could get my hands on. Mainly like Art Spiegelman's Breakdown, Art Spiegelman is an underground cartoonist. And so that's where the underground comics came from. And eventually, the graffiti, because I started doing comic books when I got back to Detroit. I started drawing comics on the walls in the bathroom stalls.
Mm-hmm.
And doing stuff like that. And of course, getting bigger with it with the spray paint and everything. So I did that for a while, and it was always, part of the thing about underground comics is that they're like a resistance to a toxic culture, like what the mainstream commercial culture represents. They're like the rebuttal to that, typically. And so what I did was always, an expression of myself as an artist, as a black man in America, and because I looked at the media, and one thing I learned as an English major was that the media was dominated with all the information that the establishment wants you to have to be subservient to them. And the work that I like the most might not have been the most popular work, but it was the type of work that challenged that establishment. So I always wanted to uphold that. And with calling it Blank Comics, what Blank represents is being devoid of all of those labels, not just as a black man, but also as an American, as whatever you think I'm supposed to be based on this English word that you were forced to speak. So that's where Blank comes from. And that's why the logo, what I did was I took, it's like a swipe at Hitler's swastika. I used the same color combination, kind of the same composition, but instead of the swastika, I put Blank Comics there because it's to challenge and overthrow that whole framework.
Wow. So would you say that art chose you. So sometimes as creative people, we have, I say, our superpower, right? This is what calls to you. This is what draws to you. This is what every day you have to do this. So for me, my superpower is being a connector, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's also music. It's also writing, where these words or the music, the beats speak to what my soul is saying. When did you really know that art was calling you?
I think it was the first time I went to New York, and I had got like, I was real fresh. So I got like, I think my wallet went missing like twice. And I was hungry and I'm walking around in the street. I'm like downtown Manhattan, and I'm looking all over the place, and I see like images of eagles and hawks. And I look it up, because I'm really into mythology and symbolism and stuff like that. And I'm like, okay, they represent Hermes or Mercury and the messenger of the gods and Horus and stuff like that. I said, okay, so maybe God is trying to tell me something. And then when I got that internship, that was the first time right there. And because the whole, when I went in for the first interview, there was New York Comic Con was happening at the time. And I had my sketchbook with me, and they did like a legends panel. And I went up afterwards to talk to the different creators they had up there. Like they had Joe Simon, the co-creator of Captain America, was up there. And so I talked to him. Stan Lee was up there. But I talked to Joe Simon, and I showed him my sketchbook. I'm like, will you sign my sketchbook for me? And he was like, oh, let me see this. And he was like flipping through it. He was like, kid, the only name that belongs in this book is yours. He was like, you got nice work. And I'm like, okay, well, I didn't have anything else for him to sign. I said, well, just sign this blank page. It was a Prince Valiant, the painting that you have on the flyer. That's where that's from, this comic strip called Prince Valiant. I used that as it's an homage to that. But and it was a similar image to that Joe Simon saw, and he's like, nice work. And then he gave me his autograph. So I met him, Ramona Fradon, Murphy Anderson, Joe Sinnott, a lot of, real heavy hitters to the comic book industry, but they were the ones, Joe Simon in particular, who made me feel like, I had something to offer.
Listen, I've heard stories, personal stories on here of people being in the room, and sometimes we don't get it at first, right? We think we're just there to be there, to get an autograph, to just talk to somebody, or just feel like somebody's supposed to validate you. But I feel like God had you to see you deserve to be there. And not only that, you're in the room with Stan Lee. If you're into Marvel at all, you know exactly who that is. The people who write, who are sometimes behind the scenes, and they don't get to hear their name called all the time. You were in the room with these people and got autographs. Somebody sowed a seed into you. Do you realize that?
Mm-hmm.
To have somebody to sow a seed, and even in the moments when it's hard sometimes being trailblazers, right? Because it's a lonely road. You could be married and still lonely. You can have all the family around you and still be lonely, because God gifted you with this assignment. He had a purpose for your life, and he still does. Somebody might see your art and decide who is this? What were they thinking when they drew this, when they painted this? And it's speaking to me. I've never been to an art gallery, but I've seen them on TV. And just to hear you talk in passion about your art, your series, your passion for what you do. Art galleries is nothing. You're actually writing through the city, right?
Writing through the city?
You know, like drawing on things in the city?
Oh, yeah. Yep.
So let's talk about that. So what is the procedure, or is there a procedure to decide, hey, there's this building downtown that I would love to do something on? I could just see this blank canvas and I would love to find out the story in this area and just paint it or draw it. How do you do that?
Well, my current project that I'm working on right now, what happened is, I see that there's a grant available to do a certain project, and I fill out the application of what that project is, in this case, murals, and, there's a whole thing where you have to write cover letters and purpose statements and stuff like that. And then what I did, I went around, Hubert Massey, I don't know if you know who he is, but he's a muralist in Detroit, and he just did the Stellantis mural, and he's got murals all over, but he's got one in Cobo, or what used to be Cobo Hall. But he's been mentoring me, and one thing I got from him was community participation. So in my old neighborhood, because I grew up on Corbett on the east side, and so I still go over there. So in my old neighborhood, I contacted people that lived in that area and owned businesses in that area, and I asked them, I'm like, hey, do you want to be a part of this project? I feel like the east side of Detroit is being neglected a lot, especially when it comes to making the city look better, or improving the quality of the city. They concentrate a lot in like downtown, midtown, and even the west side and the suburbs. But as you get more and more to the east side, they don't do too much. So I wanted to bring some murals over there, and it was really just about getting the funding to do it, because there were people who wanted the murals too, just as much as I did. And so that's the process that I took with this one. And that's all like the back end stuff. There's the other thing as far as like collecting the references that I'm going to use to design the murals. I'm going to be doing 3 different murals over there on the east side. So each of them have, they have more than one design, each of them, but we're working on the final designs right now before we actually get ready to start painting.
So is that going to be like spring, summer type when you actually start doing the actual art?
Yeah, we're going to start painting late spring, early summer. And I got 2 other artists working with me, Kara Marie Young and Ephemera Faye. They worked with me on the School of Medicine mural over by Wayne State. They were actually the project leads on that project. And in this case, the roles are reversed. So we've been working together, and they'll be painting with me.
Wow, that's deep. So even years beyond here, we can always go back and see your handprint on the city.
Yeah, and make sure you go to See You Tomorrow too, because they have some bomb food, and I got 4 murals in their bathrooms and 1 in their main eating area. And Cam, the other artist, he's the one that did the Phoenix over there. He's got his work is incredible too. It's a nice spot. They're showcasing a lot of art.
So we go back into your actual comic book series, which is the City Hair, the Planet, Divine Order, and the Dream.
Yeah.
Can you tell the people a little bit about each one of those?
All right. So City Hair is the first ever comic book that I ever published on my own. And it's basically about a dishwasher who sells his soul for supernatural powers. And as you know, and deals with the devil, you never really quite get what you bargain for. So he inherits the skin of Brer Rabbit, and pretty much all hell breaks loose. You know, he's not he has his power. He doesn't really know how to use it. And even when he does know how to use it, he doesn't necessarily use it for what you think people with power should be using it for. You know, so it's very much definitely none of these series are made for people under the age of 18. You know, if I was under the age of 18 though, and I got a copy of it, I would like it. But anyway, that's City Hair. And City Hair has been met page 15 from issue 5 was featured at the Geppy Entertainment Museum in Baltimore. It's not there anymore, but it was there in their milestones exhibit. And it was, I forget the name of the website, but the cover for the first issue of that was considered one of the most iconic covers of Black comic creators. And he also, what else does City do? Oh, there's City Hair murals up at See You Tomorrow. That's another thing I did is Blank Comics, where we're bringing sequential art to mural making and telling stories on walls, you know, just like how it used to be. And so that's City Hair. And City Hair has got a long way to go. I don't have any plans on ending that title anytime soon. But it's a wild ride, you know, if you like adult fantasy, if you like Black humor, if you like underground stuff, you like something kind of raw, that's City Hair. You know, the Planet though is about Earth after an alien invasion. So whereas a lot of science fiction books, they'll tell you about the alien invasion that's pending, and then, you know, the humans, they save the day and stuff like that. In the Planet, the aliens just flat out win, and human beings have been knocked pretty much way at the bottom of the you know, the food chain. They're slaves, they're cattle, they're fighting in a resistance against, you know, the conquerors. And there's a lot of other things that I play with in that, because the way the aliens in the Planet travel, they don't come here on a spaceship, they travel interdimensionally. So I draw on a lot of indigenous or aborigine concepts of dual realities and other planes of existence. So I kind of mix fantasy and science fiction together. So you're not just going to get aliens with this. You're going to see some things like two of the main characters, Atticus and Zev, are werewolves, for instance. You know, but there's a story behind that as to how I can put a werewolf in a story about aliens in the first place. But you'll just have to stay tuned for that one. No spoilers. Divine Order though is a little more autobiographical about, you know, my experience as an artist. And I just released, I think, the 6th one on Webtoons just this past week. And the dream is kind of similar, but whereas in Divine Order, I'm talking about, you know, my experience as an artist, and in the dream, I'm just talking about, you know, a political activist and what his political experience is. But that story, now that at first, I was publishing it. I was self-publishing. Then DSA started publishing it, and then they stopped, and now I'm publishing it again. So the story is going to probably take a different turn from the politics and get into something else.
That's deep. I have 2 questions on the table. In the comic book world, who would you say has inspired your art style the most?
Will Eisner. Will Eisner for sure. That not only is he like one of the main pioneers of sequential art as a medium and how people understand sequential art, but he was also the guy who taught my mentor Ken Lager when he was at SVA, the School of Visual Arts in New York. And he hooked him up with his first gig in comics. And so definitely Will Eisner is the one, both directly and indirectly.
Who is your favorite villain and who is your favorite hero?
Ooh. That's like asking me who my top 5 MCs are, because it changes, but for villains, I got to put Magneto up there because Magneto can go either way, hero or villain. So it depends on what his mood is.
Mood is, yes.
Yeah. But if I just say cold dead Magneto villain, hero Daredevil.
Okay. I wouldn't have never, well, Daredevil was different. That would put me in the line of Elektra, or like I told you, I hands down love Storm. And even in that, they still haven't, not Storm, Rogue, they still haven't, gave her just due yet. And to be able to, absorb that and understand your own power, but to be able to take somebody else's power and use that against them, it's the same thing as the mind game. When we are brainwashed, when you know how to play the game, it's I can lead or I can follow, depending on what mood I'm in. So the whole thing about imagination, and I understand more and more as an adult that a mind is a terrible thing to waste, because as you read in the book of, manifesting, if we could understand the things that we speak out of our mouth can happen for us right then, or is developing while we're speaking it, we will be very conscious of the things that we would say. But because we don't believe that the supernatural is as real as it is, we can't see it. So it's amazing. You're amazing. Just to be in the room with the top notch, and for them to say how good you are, that was the seed that's beyond a mustard seed. That's wow. Where do you see blank in the next 10 years?
And in the next 10 years, definitely more murals. Definitely, there are some other titles that I have in the works. Right now, it's just about figuring out where they're going to be published, whether it's going to be a Blank Comics thing or not. Push comes to shove, they'll be with Blank Comics, but there's a project that I've been playing around with, an idea, and once I work it out, then you'll definitely see that within the next 10 years. I don't want to say exactly what it is yet, but but it's definitely something I've been considering, a couple of distribution methods and also titles, you know, that I want to add to the roster. You know,
El
but
Maestro, are you still here? So, Larry, are you still here? So, Larry is a music producer.
okay.
And he has done scores for like Creed 3 and some Marvel movies. And I just find it ironic to me that just in the nick of time, people I feel like should connect will pop on to the live, right? So while you're talking, I'm thinking like, okay, like the Blue Man Group that's in Vegas, right? They're taking with blue, which is my favorite color. They taking the art of music and making it visual for you to see it. And I can see that with what you do with the visual art cross behind music.
Oh, that's actually how I started. When I the first time I was ever paid for my art, aside from that Wendy's gift certificate for that double cheeseburger, that I got in elementary school. But the first time I ever got paid for my art, I was doing live painting. I was in Colorado. And then within the past couple of years, I started doing live painting with We Are Culture Creators. And I don't know if you said, did you say Damaccio?
No, Maestro.
Oh,
He
okay, never mind. But
and
okay.
then our cousin LaRock is on.
Oh,
Rodney's on.
but yeah, I did. I used to do live painting and I still do it. Where there'll be somebody performing like a musician and I'll be painting in the background. Yeah, that's something I love stuff like that.
That would be dope. Like, I don't know, take it to Vegas. I don't know. You see something different in different cultures, different atmosphere where we don't always see that in Detroit. But like you said, the street performers, you can go outside a Tigers game and someone's beating on pots and pans and it sounds better than a record. Those things, the art and the visual together, is always been the eye gazing as well as feeling in your soul. Like, wow, I see visually up close and I hear it also of where this artist is bringing this to life. These moments is important. Sometimes we lose translations in a whole bunch of words, but when we have pictures and when we have music behind it, it just brings that whole rose to a whole nother level. And again, like I said, I'm so proud of you. You have really blown me away today. Like, seriously, I had no clue and no idea. We understand that even in our conversations, we never know that we have more in common than we are different. And you'll never know that until you talk. I wasn't expecting to know that you went to jail. I wasn't expecting to know you traveled around so much just to find your purpose. But your purpose is going to take care of you. It's probably going to be someplace you had no clue and no idea that this is the avenue. But the good thing is your mind is sharp and it continues to evolve, just like your comics, right?
Thank you. Thank you again for having me on here. It was great.
So before we let you go, what is something that people will be surprised to know about you? Not including jail, because they just found out about that.
Oh, I like eating wild game.
Okay. Wild game as in
Like deer.
squirrel?
Deer. I will eat a squirrel. I would eat a squirrel. Coon. I love coon. Coon is good. Raccoon. Deer, of course. Caribou, moose. Gator.
Is that from traveling around, or did you always like that even with in being in Michigan?
I was always like that, but I actually used to be an outdoor educator where we taught kids like wilderness survival skills and stuff like that. And I used to work with National Wildlife Federation a lot because they did like an outreach program called Earth Tomorrow for like inner city kids. So they were the ones that really like put me on to all of that and really just told me like, yeah, and it's healthier. Da, 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 da. So
Interesting. That was good to know. I would have never pegged that either. Let's see. I don't know what that is. Is there so in the art world, is there somebody that you would love to work with?
if we're talking like straight up visually, I think I would want to go back to working with Axel Alonso again, especially now. I think, whether it's on the editorial side or as an artist or whatever, I think I would want to see what that would look like.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so we know that. If you had the opportunity to, take your what you do to Vegas, who would be the musical artist that you feel would portray your art or do your art justice?
What? Oh, it's hard. It's hard because I would have to it would have to only be one.
No, it doesn't have to just be one.
Nas, Rakim, and Sade.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. M2. I can't forget Eminem. I've drawn to some crazy Eminem tracks. So I'm trying to think of people that I like to draw to.
Okay.
Tyler the Creator, I would too, because that was good.
Okay.
Some stuff. Anybody that I listen to, anybody that I've ever drawn anything to, like I used to post songs with the pictures before you could do it on Instagram with the thing, but I used to post the little YouTube under the image that I drew with that song. And so it's so many. My Spotify music that I'm streaming goes like way across the spectrum.
Okay. I never thought about that. I mean, we all have, be inspired by music in either your writing or, as you do, drawing and painting. Wow. The Vegas spot might be maybe I'll speak that into existence.
Yeah, I mean, if it wound up happening, it wouldn't be a problem, really. Somewhere down the road, I wouldn't mind. And that's something people like graffiti artists used to do that in hip hop a lot. I think I heard of Futura. He used to do that. travel around with different music groups and paint, you know, live at their concerts and stuff. That would be dope, you know, because I do, you know, open mics. The open mics is where I pretty much started selling comic books.
Okay.
You know, doing poetry and stuff like that and rapping. So that really isn't that far fetched.
That would be awesome just to see. I would have been interested in a Stevie Wonder, you know, what would you do to a Stevie Wonder song?
Oh, I've got sketches that I did to Stevie Wonder stuff. Like my studio is a stack of sketchbooks of times where I've had models, you know, posing for me, and I was studying the anatomy, stuff like that. And Stevie Wonder definitely played a few times.
Wow. I am impressed. So one day, I'm gonna send you something I've done and see what you come up with visually to capture the song. That would be
Oh, you make
awesome.
music?
What? I do.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You gotta send me some stuff.
So I told you it's in the family.
Yeah.
It is there. Um, wow, man, this is so dope. Like, I don't even know where to go from here. Oh my gosh. It's not too many people that have me speechless. I will say that. Because you right, what? Our cousin said she can sing a little bit. What? What do you mean a little bit? We're not even about to do this tonight. We're not. So, anywho, a lot of people do not, make me speechless, or I'm in, like in awe of. Um, I get excited when I hear and get a chance to learn about another human being. And the plus part is we're related. So, as I always state, eventually when I get to where I want to be, my duty is to come and get the people that I feel is dope and need the platform, right? That I don't know, one day I'm on stage doing what I do and I'll be like, look, I need my cousin up here to draw this or to be inspired by the crowd. I don't know. But I don't find that it's far-fetched that we met this time in this season. Who knows? And then on top of that, who knows who I know? That's the good part. One more thing before I let you go. And I had it too. So we talked about the food, we talked about the art, we talked about the transitions, the struggle, the homelessness, the being in jail, traveling from Pennsylvania to Cali to New York to all of these different places, just to get the experience of life, right? And you're younger than me. So if you had a chance to show the world what to this day is your favorite piece?
The one I'm working on now. You're talking about like my paintings or just comic books? And
All of it, any of it.
yeah, probably the comics, the one I'm working on now.
So for you, is there a difference or a different feeling to you to draw or paint? or it feels the same to you?
You know, it's a different level of focus, because with paint, you know, you're dealing with you know, you have to mix, you have to make sure that all your values are right when you're mixing, you know, your black and your white or any colors and stuff like that. And then there's a certain order that you have to follow just to make sure, you know, what you're painting translates visually, you know, for the looker. And so it's different, but learning how to paint like I draw, I think is kind of the same. Like getting my strokes down and realizing that, you know, the strokes that I make are there for a reason. They're not just random, you know, scribbles.
Mm-hmm. Well, I can tell you, I'm not good at even stick people. It's horrible. So I knew very early that drawing wasn't it. So I do have a few announcements before I let you go. And then I'll let you have your last moments. And then we can end this wonderful conversation. And then we definitely have to meet up in person, so we can get our family reunion together.
Oh yeah.
So back in October, I released my first single book. I have other books out, but they were with other authors. This one is The Blueprint God's Design. It is on Amazon right now. You can buy that, support that. And basically, God told me to sit down for a minute and restart, because I was, you know, frustrated. I was going in the wrong direction. I was confused about a lot of things. And he was like, you just need to sit down and listen to me. Trust me, go back to the beginning. Somewhere, somehow you got off course, and now you need to get back on course so you can finish out your project, right? Project being your life, your purpose. So that book is out. I'm sure that you have enjoyed this show tonight, this conversation. If I say, as you want to keep the lights on, literally, since this storm is happening right now, you can cash out at Sunshine Kamilah, Kamilah. That's how you spell my name for real. You can do that. My friend Alita Cotton, who will be here soon, she does an awesome ginger or turmeric drink. I get it every week. I just recently understood that if you have joint issues, high intake in sugar or salt, get or increase your ginger and turmeric in your diet, and it is a natural inflammatory. So again, ginger and turmeric does a lot of great things in your body, so you might want to increase that. She is on Facebook at AYECEE. Again, let her know that I sent you. And last but not least, April 6th through the 8th, I will be on the Fisher Theater stage for Perilous Times. This is a play that's been going on for 30 years. This is the last one for Detroit, and I was blessed to be selected for the chorus of this year's play. Again, the tickets are on sale now at BroadwayInDetroit.com. Please come and support your girl while she do her dancing and singing and acting on this play. Again, cuz this has been an awesome conversation. Do you have any last words?
No, shout out to everybody watching. They tuned in. just stay tuned. Blank Comics has a lot of stuff coming. So be on the lookout. Give me a follow at Mink Caruso, MINKCARUSO on Instagram, or Blank Comics EIC on Twitter. And thank you again for having me on here.
Absolutely. I was again blown away by the knowledge that we found out tonight. I bless you with much success. This is only the beginning. I will look forward to see you in Detroit Free Press more and more. If I have anything to do with it, I will definitely do what I can to make sure you are visually being seen and being audibly heard to tell your story, and to say, hey, my cousin had a hand on this city, and he's doing it big. And I wouldn't be surprised to see him in Vegas. I wouldn't be surprised to see him on Broadway in New York, whatever, to say that this is my cousin. He has been a part and had the seed of the Marvel people. So where else can you go from here but up? So again, thank you guys for tuning in. Again, I believe in 6 degrees of separation. You're literally one person away, one advice away, one help away from where you need to be in your destiny. It's been proven over and over again. I will see you guys back on Tuesday with none other than former WNBA Tamika Dixon, who has several rings to prove it. She's good on the court as well as off the court, so you don't want to miss that. Again, this will be back here Tuesday, March 7th, I believe it is, at 7 p.m. So please like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you soon. Peace.